You're now listening to the Something Good Podcast Network. Please press any key to continue.
Everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Couch Potatoes. I'm Alex
Morrison,
and this is part two of our Kevin Smith rundown. And we ended on a high note with Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back,
double disc
edition. No,
that was wild because that was the only way I could find that movie was a double disc edition.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that's a not necessarily a segue, but kind of a cool little intro topic we could talk about here. The DVDs for these sets were always really nice because with that you always got the making of. Yeah, and I always appreciated that because actually something I meant to ask you in the first episode, which was when did you first hear of Kevin Smith? Like, what was your first experience with it?
Probably Dogma.
Like when it was in theaters?
No, when I first watched it at a buddy's house, he had it on. I think it was VHS, but he had a copy of it, and we watched it. And the whole Jay and Silent Bob thing was hilarious. And around that time, I think because he had like the cartoons and stuff, for the Clerks animated series. And that's when I saw Jay and Silent Bob more. And then when I saw this, I was just like, well, I got to watch it. Because it's just about these two. So, yeah, that's how I really heard about Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith kind of showed up periodically here and there on... I think I first saw Kevin Smith on The Daily Show, doing an interview with Jon Stewart back when he was still on the helm of it. But other than that, Comedy Central would probably be the biggest time I've already saw. Because they did for a short time the Clerks animated series late at night, along with
we'll get to that one too.
Along with IFC and stuff.
So I've been thinking hard about this. I can't remember my first experience learning about Kevin Smith. I remember a time in which I never knew who he was, and then I remember a time in which I was a big fan. I don't remember discovering him, but I feel like it was through different parts because the earliest memory I can remember of liking Kevin Smith was when I was 18, 19, and Jeff Williams asked if I had seen Clerks 2 yet because he had it on DVD. And I know the only reason he was asking me is because I knew about Kevin Smith before that. Because I know because I had seen at least Clerks 1 by then. I know I hadn't seen Mallrats, and I feel like I had seen Strikes Back. But I don't think I had watched Clerks 2 yet.
Well, that whole between 16 and 19 is probably like the juicy spot of the demographic. So it'd be hard to say where you first saw it. It's kind of like when you say you first saw Star Wars or some shit. Like the earliest memory I have of Star Wars is like when I was 5 and I got bit by a fucking dog real bad. And my dad had a bootleg copy that he got off HBO.
Nice.
I had a TV in my room, put on the VHS player, and I just sat in the top bunk of my bunk bed and watched that while I was
healing from a dog wound.
Yeah, I got ripped off a fucking lawnmower by a dog.
Damn. Fuck. So I honestly don't remember my first experience with it, but no, I remember ever since like watching any of them the first time, just going, "Oh, this is great!
No.
Oh, this is amazing! It's like this is fantastic. I love it. That kind of stuff." So that kind of so I feel like Strikes Back may have been the first movie because my earliest Kevin Smith memory, and this may have been what kind of sparked my interest. Okay, so when Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back come out in 2001, we have DirecTV by this point, which has pay-per-view. And I remember you can watch the first, 5 minutes of a movie before it popped up the screen being like, all right, do you want to pay for this?
No.
And then you'd have to, confirm if you want to do that or not. And I remember seeing the title Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and me being a Star Wars nerd being like, is this a Star Wars thing?
Yeah.
Because Strikes Back, 'cause that's clearly a Star Wars reference. I've got to see what this is. And I remember watching the first 5 minutes of it and being like, this isn't Star Wars, but this is funny.
I will say, because you brought up DirecTV, I don't think I've been more pissed off when I was a kid when we switched from Dish Network to DirecTV.
Oh, DirecTV sucked ass, dude.
But we had switched from Dish Network, and I was watching a movie while this was happening. And I was watching a movie called Majestic. It's got Jim Carrey. So it's an average movie.
Yeah.
But I got vested into it because it's a very serious movie with Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And the guy comes in. He's like, hey, we're going to change the box. I'm just like, do we have this channel on this? And he's like, well, I don't know. And we don't. And I was just like, it took me like 3 years to find that fucking movie because I couldn't remember the title for shit.
Oh,
and
damn.
IMDb wasn't that big.
Yeah.
Our internet, so like when I went on the internet, all I did was steal music.
Yeah.
So like,
I can do other shit on there than watch porn and steal music.
or just put music on my MySpace page.
Yeah. Fuck. So,
Reach out to Tom, see if he actually talks to you, which he probably fucking did.
So yeah, I feel like around maybe Strikes Back era is when I first started really kind of figuring out who Kevin Smith was and kind of maybe seeking out information on who he was. And maybe around that time point, I did wind up having a friend that had Clerks on like VHS or something, and I wound up watching
I remember seeing it a lot on VHS.
Yeah.
Because there's always like anybody's house whose parents had like a lot of movies, it was always one of those. You know, everyone had that one. Everyone had, you know, The Godfather on fucking two cassettes or some shit, or Titanic or some shit.
And who knows, maybe, you know, they had like TV rights at this point and I caught it like, you know, on Comedy Central or some shit. I don't know. You know, I just remember at one point just kind of knowing who Kevin Smith was and this falling into it kind of around that era. And I remember seeing, as we kind of roll into talking about the next movie, I remember watching trailers for this, but to this day, I have still not seen Zach and Miri make a porno.
This is a solid comedy.
Now, this is an important movie for a couple different reasons, even though I've not seen it. One, this is the first Kevin Smith production. Well, not really production. I think he just directed it. Let me look here. He was director, writer, and editor. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, so he played a major role in it, but this is the first one outside of the View Askew universe, and this marks the first time he smokes weed.
Yeah.
At the very end of this shoot, not to jump to the end, but it's the footnote. At the very end of it, what's his head? The other guy.
Jay.
No. From Zach and Miri Make a Porno. Seth. Yeah. Seth the entire time.
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen, the entire time, is trying to get Kevin to smoke with him. He's like, oh, no, man, you know, that shit makes you lazy. You know, I don't know if I want to do that. You know, I'm already lazy as it is. I don't need anything to help me be more lazy. He's like, nah, dude, just have a little smoke with me. He's just like, I don't think I want to. Gets to the very end of the shoot. They're in the editing room. He's just like, come on, dude. Of all places, have a smoke with me. He's just like, okay, all right, fine. I'll have a smoke with you in the editing room. That way, you know, anything we could do, we can like undo, you know, this, that, and the other. And like at that point that he was sold, he's just like, oh, fuck. Oh, no, this is great. So people see this as both a positive and negative turning point for Kevin Smith.
Really?
Yes. Some people think that after this moment, he kind of changed his thought process and push with his movies. Because everything leading up to this had a certain poignancy, it had a certain bite to it.
Well, it has that because of the retention of characters, because he's using the same characters throughout. You know, this one doesn't.
No, but talking about like even when he goes, as he refers to, going back to the well eventually, while the other movies haven't quite stood up, is because of his weed use. A lot of people have kind of pointed to that.
Yeah, probably. You know, it could just be the fact that, you know, he became a Hollywood director and stopped making indie movies. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino doesn't have the greatest track record, but they are fun movies. There are ones that are worse than other ones. They're always going to have that way. But he got shouldered in to do actual, Hollywood films. And this is still like a Kevin Smith romance movie. Like,
So to go back to the movie, that was just a little footnote.
So-
Zach Miri make porno.
So, of all the people that are in the movie, Randall, the guy that plays Randall's in it.
Yep.
He's not Randall, but he's in it.
Jeff Anderson.
Yeah, Jeff Anderson and Jason Mewes. Jason Mewes plays Chester, a aspiring porn actor named Molester, which is fucking hilarious. Anyway, so the cast of
It's almost like the jokes write themselves.
So what's funny is like you have a lot of the cast members from 40-Year-Old Virgin mixing with people from the View Askew universe, actors from the View Askew coming together in this movie. So
Actually, sorry. We're going to have to kind of pause there because I totally got us off track. That was not the first movie.
Yeah, I'm about to say that was about 2009.
That was 2008. Yeah. Sorry. It was technically Jersey Girl.
Yeah. Jersey Girl's his fucking sequel
Right,
to a movie he didn't write.
We can keep all the intro, but I'll just lead it in the other way. We'll have to go back over that as if we didn't.
Yeah.
So that actually just kind of leads into the first movie we're going to talk about, which is Jersey Girl.
Did you watch that movie?
I've watched bits of Jersey Girl, mainly, and the only reason I've not watched it is because of how much Kevin himself shits on this movie.
Yeah, no, it's just another romantic movie. Jennifer Lopez's character had died.
Yeah.
It's a sequel technically to a movie called Geely.
Oh, I heard them talking about.
Anyway, Ben Affleck's with Jennifer Lopez. Blah 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 blah. That movie happens. Then this movie happens. She's pregnant. She gives birth. She dies. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's about a story about a single dad and how Ben Affleck ended up fucking Jennifer Garner later on and becoming the Daredevil. But like Jersey Girl, it's just a straight up romantic comedy movie, and he's somewhat of like a TV producer, if I'm not mistaken, in the movie, and he's just trying to be a single dad.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hit quite correct until after you watch Reboot. And you kind of understand the story he wanted to tell. And I understand why he shits on it, because it's not his movie.
Right.
Like, he was told to direct this movie. It's not his movie. It's just probably Ben Affleck's like, hey, I know a guy who can direct this piece of shit.
Well, I mean, for Jersey Girl, he's listed as director, writer, and editor.
Yeah. So he probably came in with the scripts that someone else wrote and fixed it.
Yeah.
And he probably just hates it because it's a movie he probably didn't originally write. Because technically it's a sequel. That's what people, it matches up too much with the other movie before this.
Right.
And it's just like, did y'all just change the names? Like, this was this going to be Geely 2? Jennifer Lopez dies? Like, this is how it is. And if I'm trying to remember who the other characters, I think Ken Smith is in the movie as a side character. But he's very talkative. He's not Silent Bob, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not listed, but George Carlin's in it.
Yeah, it's one of his last movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jersey Girl, I don't like the Pantheon, is probably like a D. It's not really my speed. It's just another romantic comedy.
Where would you rank that one?
A D.
D. Yeah. I'll play along with that one because, like I said, that was one I just never really.
Well, the problem with like Jennifer Lopez movies, she only has 3 good ones in her entire career. They're all just schlock.
Yeah.
Because she plays the same person in every one of them.
And now, by this point, Kevin, for some reason, decides to go back to the well one more time before fully calling it quits. Because he even said that. He's like, when he wrote Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, he wanted that to be the end of that era. But then was just like, I really want to make Clerks 2. I really want to make that. So as you watch the bonus features for this film, is literally called Going Back to the Well, because he felt like he got so burned with Jersey Girl that he was just like, I got to come back. I want to go back to what I know. So he went back to what he knows. He went back to Clerks 2. And up front, this is my number 1 favorite film.
Yeah.
It of his. And honestly, of my personal favorites, it's in my top 5.
Yeah.
Like,
I put it up with S.
Yeah, oh yes, this is an S tier movie for me.
I didn't go to the theaters and saw this. I rented this from Family Video with a Philly steak pizza with my buddy because Marcos was part of it. But yeah, I remember renting this movie. I didn't go I think I had a chance to go to the theaters, but I just didn't go.
And there's multiple reasons why I love this movie. On the surface, funny as fuck. The jokes in this are nonstop. Some of them are subtle. You know, we get Dante and Randall back, a great combination. You know, and Randall is more of an insufferable asshole in this movie, which kind of makes him a good character because you got to have someone to kind of begrudgingly like.
One thing that doesn't and it's a little problem I have with it. So in the beginning, it's black and white, and he lifts the doors. The place is on fire. Mm-hmm. Okay, Randall's store doesn't seem like it's on fire. It's just the convenience store that's on fire. However, as we progress, we find out that Dante and Randall are working at movies together. Mm-hmm. Why the fuck is Randall working there? Did the movie store burn down? Because I don't remember seeing the movie store ever burning down. And that's the only problem I have with the movie. It's not really a problem. It's just like, oh no, let me just follow my buddy to work. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, did he quit his job? Did he go out of business because there was a burnt out convenience store next door? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Because by the time the movie ends, the convenience store is back up and running. Yeah. So, and the video store is there. So, obviously, they didn't condemn the fucking building or something. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I'm trying to go back to my mind's eye because I hadn't watched that in a while.
He just lifts the gate, and Randall comes out. Randall comes out. He's like, "Oh, dude, what happened?"
Randall shows up.
Yeah.
He doesn't come out of his store. He just shows up for work. And he winds up walking into the building. I'm trying to remember the zoom out shot because I feel like they show the video store fucked up too.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But either way.
That's my only gripe with that movie.
But then we also get a Rosario Dawson.
Yes.
In this movie.
Yeah, before she got super big.
Holy shit, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? Apparently held on to that friendship because that gets paid off in Clerks 3 again.
Yeah. Rosario Dawson's in it. We get some new characters. We get
Elias.
Fun character.
Yes.
We get Wanda Sykes. Mm-hmm. Kevin Smith's wife returns as a bitch.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of get a few more characters. I believe it's
Jason Lee shows up.
Jason Lee.
Ben Affleck.
Wanda Sykes is in it. Mm-hmm. I forgot that she was in it. She was the during the infamous porch monkey scene.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that because that is a fucking hilarious and fucked up part of the movie.
Very, but it's
I'm bringing it back.
But you know what? It's played so well though because it's not played with any sort of hate. It's played with pure ignorance, and that's what makes it funny.
Yeah, that's the great thing about ignorance. It's fucking hilarious.
But so many great quotes from this movie. You never go ass to mouth,
unless it's in the heat of the moment.
Yes,
and then my favorite, and I will like.
You quote this so much,
but like my favorite is just all right. So we're going back to the callback of the two drug dealers.
Yes,
Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh, okay, this part,
and we get Ethan Suplee's back. And the other guy who's constantly showing up in the View Askew universe to buy drugs. And
who are these Bible thumping freaks?
Whoa, that's the holy fucking Bible, son. And they keep weeding the Bible. But the only reason they went to like a rehab thing is because they were driving.
Don't keep weeding the Bible.
they were driving around.
With deployed airbags.
And got charged with suspicion of mischief. I've been pulled over for suspicion of mischief. It's a Patriot Act kind of bullshit. It's just a legal way of saying I'm pulling you over because I think you're doing something weird at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Mine was driving a drunk home. But like that was my suspicion of mischief. But like I'm just thinking like, oh my God, these fucking idiots. It's like a Cheech and Chong movie. That's all it is. It's just a Cheech and Chong. And the music choice in these movies, in this movie in particular, is very off the rails.
Oh, man.
So we get Jackson 5.
Yes.
We get King Diamond.
Yes.
We get, what is it? It's not Tears for Fears, but the people who do Goodbye Horses.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck?
Oh, and you get the Smashing Pumpkins song.
1969.
Yeah. No, that's Iggy Pop.
No, I forget.
Yeah, but it's the Smashing Pumpkins song. That's the fucking year number.
Yeah, but you get that one, and
I was like, no, that's Iggy
soundtrack-
Pop. I can't let that one fly.
yeah, the soundtrack is kind of all over the place.
1979.
1979. The wee. The roller coaster song.
Billy Corgan riding a roller coaster.
Wee.
That got you good, didn't it?
Well, I've seen that before. I'm just like tick, 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 tick. Wee. Oh yeah, we're making it. Wee. But yeah, so like we get this weird conversation about the backstory because we just need a little bit of exposition of why they leave the convenience store. Oh, it burned.
Randall left the coffee machine on.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. And this is the whole story of Randall being a piece of shit. And Dante not realizing, like, I should have killed this son of a bitch. That's what I took away from Clerks 2. And with Elias being kind of like a buffer of just like, and this, I will say, this was when you start doing it, like, even in sitcoms where you have a, not a heel character, not an evil character, but someone who just takes shit.
An antagonist. Yeah.
Yeah, someone who just takes shit constantly, because it happens in Parks and Rec, The Office. All these shows started having a character where we just shit on constantly for no good reason.
Yeah.
There's nothing technically wrong with Elias.
He's just the punching bag.
Yeah, he's just a fucking punching bag, and we got to have that.
Yeah.
And he plays it perfectly. He does.
Because none of it really phases him.
Yeah, and even the conversations with him kind of reminds me
Pillow
of
pants.
Pillow pants. And I love Randall kind of just like stops they're in the middle of like a lunch rush too.
Yeah.
And like,
and he's like, fucking what?
Did you hear what this fucking guy just said? And Dante's just trying to be like, dude, I'm about to get married. Will you shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to burn through this. I'm having
I'm about to move.
Yeah, I'm having second thoughts already, you piece of shit. Just shut the fuck up. And because Dante could be leaving to, was it a car wash?
Yeah, so the whole crux of the movie is he's getting married, ironically, to Kevin Smith's IRL wife. And he's going to inherit a car wash fortune if he moves to Florida.
Yeah, it's like a turnkey operation or something.
Yeah. So basically he was going to be marrying into money, so to speak. And and Dante was not, and Randall rather, was not taking the news well that he was going to be moving all the way down south to Florida and leaving him in New Jersey by himself. So basically, he's acting like a goddamn tyrant the entire movie and lashing out because he's a fucking dude and doesn't want to say, hey man, I'm gonna miss you as a friend. Like, you're the only friend I have. Like he's too manly enough and too much of a prick to actually sit the guy down and be like, you're my friend. I think I'm gonna miss you a lot.
This proves that Randall is a terrible person and friend. That's all this movie does. Is just prove that Randall's a piece of shit, and it does even better in Clerks 3. That Randall should have been killed in the fire. That's why it doesn't make sense. Why didn't he die in his little apartment in the building? But like, and we started to see like Elias being a little bit more part of a crew with this one, because it's always Dante, Randall, Jay, and Bob. It's the four.
Yeah.
And now we got some extra people because you've moved stores. So just like any other job, you start talking less to people you worked with, and you start talking to the new people. You start making.
But of course,
friends.
Jay and Silent Bob moved because now they have no corner to stay on.
Yeah, and they're trying to they're standing next to the movies, and like shifting.
Yeah,
and they're just like, what the fuck?
It's not the same.
It's not the same because you're standing in a fucking drive-through, you piece of shit. And it is a fun movie.
Yeah,
all around. But some of the dialogue in it is fucking too good.
It's perfectly timed, perfectly edited, and well written.
My favorite part, and what's funny is like the fantasy and the sci-fi kind of thing. People fans of it. The Lord of the Rings fans versus the Star Wars fans.
Yes.
And so you've never seen Lord of the Rings.
I've seen bits. I've seen enough.
Okay. So there is a very homoerotic scene at the end of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings where Frodo is in bed and his buddies show up and they're all hopping around in bed together, blah, 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 blah. That's just how the book is. That's it.
Yeah.
Randall, however, it isn't of Return of the King, it's of the Jedi. And the guy, I forget who the guy is. He's another
he's another actor comedian guy.
Yeah, but he is just like going toe to toe, and he's got the ring around his necklace, which was a
like
big,
he and Elias clicked.
Yeah, but it was around the same thing. It's like one ring to buy, and they're having that fucking saying.
Well, yeah, because
they're nerding out.
Yeah, because Elias is like putting the onion ring because he had already started it with Randall in the back. He had held up. He's like, "Hey, Randall." He's like, "What?" He holds up an onion ring. He's like, "One ring to rule them all." He's like, "Oh, shut the fuck up." So he's like, "Oh, take care of the customers. Quit fucking around." Yeah. And he takes the guy's order.
Murmurs, he's like, "One ring to bind them." And just they're having like a nerdy
like,
thing.
He's like, "Oh, Jesus fucking Christ."
And it's the whole back and forth. And Randall just goes into this fucking spiel of just like, I didn't know what was going to happen because Randall admits to watching these movies.
Yep.
Because he watched them because he would have watched them around the same time I watched them. Because fun fact, in 8th grade, they took us to the movie theater to watch Return of the King. I have no idea why. I didn't know that at the time. Like, I wasn't a big fan of those movies. I didn't even watch the first movie. I technically watched the second one first and then watched this in theaters because the school paid for it. And I'm just like, okay, cool. But we got
taken to the Flintstones movie.
No, that's the only movie our school took us to. But the fucked up thing is he's just going off his spiel for no fucking reason.
Yeah,
all he had to
just
say,
to nerd one up him.
And and the whole time Dante and Rosario Dawson are in the office.
Yeah,
just bullshitting back and forth. He's technically cheating on his wife in so many words.
Yeah.
To quote Pulp Fiction, if you give a woman a foot massage, is it sexual? And he's like, if I give Marcellus Washington's wife a foot massage, yeah, it's fucking sexual, and he's going to kill you. That's what he's fucking, that's what he's doing. He's painting her fucking toenail.
Yep.
But like the whole time, he is just roiding out on this motherfucker, and he says, I think the exact words were, I didn't know what they were. I thought they were going to brick in Sam's mouth. And I was just like, oh my God, that is such a fucked up thing. And the guy,
the customer guy is like,
and like Randall's just like, hey, come out here. I made this Lord of the Rings fan fucking vomit.
What are you guys doing in here?
Get the fuck out of here, Randall, you piece of shit.
But no, like, and exactly what you say, so many great scenes, and it cultivates to, they have, like, they decided to throw this big going away show. You find out that Rosario Dawson's character is pregnant with Dante's kid. And Randall, after finally having an at-peace moment, decides to throw a little throwing away party for him, aka a donkey show, which immediately gets raided by the cops after the wife comes in, sees the cheating, yada yada yada,
drops the cake,
all the big shit. And the reason I'm glossing over this is because I'm going to talk more in detail about those moments later. But it all cultivates to what makes this my favorite movie, because everyone gets arrested. Jay, Silent Bob, Dante, Randall, they're all in the holding cell. And even the donkey show guy gets arrested. They took my donkey. And finally, both, Randall finally lays it out. He's just like, you've just been an insufferable prick. You've been an asshole. This, that, and the other. He goes, what the fuck? And it's like a very visceral moment for these characters, because they kind of did it in the first movie where, Dante finally goes off on Randy. He's like, everything is just so peachy for you, yada, yada, yada. Well, I've got to work here and this and that. But this one felt a little different because the actors had grown more. Kevin knew his material more. That argument they had silences me every time.
It's very cathartic that they needed to do it. It's the argument that some friends need to have with each other sometimes,
because Randall is just finally like, he's like, okay, what the fuck? Because he finally lays it out. And it's like, it's the first time you don't feel like Randall's being an asshole. You feel like, okay, you understand why he's the asshole. A little bit. Like, it doesn't excuse the behavior, but it gives reason
it's hard for me. It's hard for me to understand this motherfucker when the one guy is actually having a life. Randall has every chance from Clerks 1 to Clerks 2 to do something.
Yeah.
Dante's actually actively doing it with 2 women, by the way, but still, like, but like there's something there. And this whole idea out the gate of him moving to Florida, oh, I'm never going to see my friend again. This is like the joke we have here. You think we'll see Mikey again?
Think we'll see Cap again?
Yeah, like, what the fuck kind of question is that? That is the dumbest fucking shit. He literally lays it out. No, man, I'm going to be in Florida. You could come down to visit me.
Yeah.
You're not crossing the fucking world. It's not like I'm asking you to come to Germany or some shit, you dumb fuck.
Yeah.
You could take a plane. In fact, I could probably have enough money to fly you the fuck down here.
And see, and I get all that, but I also get the small town mentality.
Yeah.
So imagine it was like, you know, so for instance, you got to go out, you know, even though it's Charlotte and stuff like that, you know, even in recent times, you know, go right out to Nashville, you know, go out to Atlanta, you know, you've got to see some shit. But you know that so many people back in your hometown know nothing outside that city limits.
Yeah.
So imagine folks like that all of a sudden you hear is going to be moving to Florida. They would be, I know my, not my biological grandparents, but my grandparents once removed, just the idea that we were moving to Charlotte from Gaffney meant that they were never going to see us again.
No.
Because they were not going to drive outside of Gaffney. No. So I see the childish mindset of Randall of my friend is moving outside of New Jersey.
No.
Oh, I'm never going to see him again. I don't know the world outside of New Jersey. This is, you know, he's kind of stunted.
Yeah.
You know, as much of an asshole as he is, the assholiness is built from the arrested development of his growth. Yeah. He is still that 12-year-old that latches on to the one friend at the schoolyard and makes that his personality. He found his one friend next door. And he's like, okay, I'm set. You know, I can get my food. I'm paying my bills. I have my friend. I'm set in life. He had no more aspirations. No. That was it. And then he finds out that the one thing that he's really got going for him, his best friend, is moving away. I mean, that's kind of like your longtime girlfriend breaking up with you. It's still in a different emotional kind of break. No. So that's where I kind of see that from. Yes, I see the whole, I can go visit him, but this is also talking from 2 guys that have no problem getting in the car and, you know, riding somewhere, hopping in a plane and flying out somewhere. But there's some of those people that, you know, that may terrify them. They don't know the world outside those city limits.
And I totally understand that. But Randall, deep down, is the most selfish character Kevin Smith's probably ever wrote. And that's what makes Randall great. That the actor great. Because if I can hate you, you've done it. like all the blonde women on AMC. If I can hate you, you're doing fucking a standout fucking job, bitch. Yeah. Because like if I can have a visceral reaction to you being a character, you're doing perfect. But all Dante could just level that motherfucker right there in front of Jay and Silent Bob and just like, get a fucking life, man. Yeah. That's all he had to say. But no, he let this dude ramble the fuck on. He's like, you don't understand. I can't be here the whole time. I'll go fucking nuts. Yeah. And somehow Randall's vindicated because he ends up fucking staying. And then Dante's life is eventually ruined. Well, so later on. But like, in this aspect of just like, let's say Clerks 3 never came out and just ended with Clerks 2, probably like I should have, but in retrospective. But Randall will always be a ball and chain to Dante. And unlike Jay and Silent Bob, which they are heterosexual life mates, that has been explained very well in a few movies. This is my heterosexual life mate, Silent Bob. Dante and Randall are the perfect example of a fucked up codependent relationship where both of them are pieces of shit, kind of. Because Dante does not have a lot of redeeming qualities. Mm-hmm. He is a piece of shit too. Because he actively cheated on his wife. Yeah. And just nonchalantly did it. But it works out because we're supposed to like these people. All intents and purposes, they are villains.
And this right here is the reason why this is an absolute positive, because you have so many perfect points on that. But this right here is the reason why the critics have never been a big fan of Kevin Smith, and I don't say that negatively because I know you like Kevin Smith. But you'll look at certain moments like that, and you're looking at it correctly within the confines of the movie. But here's why I liked it so much. It is a background narrative of what Kevin was going through. And he used these characters to explain his own emotional cathartic, like he used the movie to sort through shit.
Yeah.
So, Randall and the Quick Stop represent his View Askew-averse. Florida and the Car Wash represent Big Hollywood. Dante is Kevin. What do I do? Do I continue to nurture the thing that made me who I am? Or do I do the corporate car wash thing? And that big argument of Randall going, I would buy the Quick Stop and own it myself. And then Jay and Silent Bob going, well, we have the money. We'll give it to you. It's all a poetic example of Jay and Silent Bob brought in the money and afforded Kevin enough to be able to own his shit and do what he wants. The allegory of Dante now buying the Quick Stop. Now he runs it. He's his own boss. He keeps it going. He allows Jay and Silent Bob outside. All this other stuff. It's like all is right in the world. And it's that background of like he did Jersey Girl and was like, you know what? No, I don't think the Hollywood shit is really what I want to do. I like doing the Kevin Smith thing. Yeah. So that's kind of what I liked from the movie.
No, I totally understand that. The only problem is it's going to be hard for me to empathize with Kevin Smith when he's doing stuff like this. And okay, yeah, you're getting pressure from Hollywood to do this. There's nothing really stopping you from going back to that indie style. There are other directors that have this problem and have figured it the fuck out. Tim Burton is the worst of the worst when it comes to this because all his movies are the fucking same. Hey, here's a gothic looking movie. Here's my wife, and here's Johnny Depp here to fuck my wife. Like that's the entire premise of Tim Burton movies. Yeah. So there is a way to get out of it. The storytelling is fantastic because it is an allegory of his life, but it's hard for me to feel sympathy for this man.
Right.
Because you are established in something that makes money in different branches. So there's no way that you're going to be held back by not making more indie movies like he does later on.
Yeah. Because here's the thing too. It's like he even explained, he goes, starting it off with the Quick Stop burning. He goes, that was me deciding for Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back that it's done. I'm burning this to the ground. He goes, then what do? Then I put my characters in fast food. That's a corporate entity. He goes, it's another menial job that teenagers and folks have to work. He goes, so it worked perfectly for our scenario. And what do you know? We already have a fast food establishment in our universe to use. He goes, so it all lined up. He goes, but it was also a perfect mirror to, the corporatized, spit it out thing. He's like, the egg. He goes, that's why, I put the weird egg scene in there. He goes, I tried to do little things like that. So, I don't know. So it's like I just feel like that's part of the reason why it's my favorite is it feels like the best mirror to his life without it being so on the nose.
Well, no, it works because it works both ways. It's still great storytelling, but it's still an allegory of his life.
Yeah,
movies being the golden calf, and to quote Matt Damon, that was your son, you sick bastard.
But no, so I get where you're coming from, but I think this is a perfect example of why the critics find the flaws and don't enjoy the movies quite as much as maybe the diehard fans that follow every step, because then we watch the movie and we see like maybe the last 10 years of his life play out in a movie, and it's just like, oh, I remember all these little things when it happened, that kind of stuff. Or, oh, I understand. That makes sense within the timeline of that. That's why. Oh,
and like,
but then people that aren't as invested, that are just looking for the good movie self-contained, are just like, these characters suck.
And I will say, to ask critics to understand that, who probably have not seen some of your work, who probably don't give a shit about your fucking life, that ain't gonna happen, son.
No. So
there needs to be some kind of cathartic thing that happens between Randall and Dante that doesn't actually happen, other than buying the quick stop at the end. They needed to have this. I will say, they just needed to fight it the fuck out.
To me, that was still a cathartic ending, though.
Yeah,
the quick stop.
The ending, but that jail scene, nah, fuck that.
Oh, that's still one of my favorite scenes.
I would have loved Randall to maybe put Dante in a fucking headlock, and Dante just accidentally elbowing him in the face a little too much, to kind of been like, no, motherfucker, you are a bad friend, objectively, and it kind of plays out later on in Clerks 3, but that's a whole new episode. Yeah.
But I don't know. To me, though, for my personal tier list, it's still an S tier, because I think it's a fantastic movie, and we can disagree. I love the jail scene. Like, even when I watch it, there's moments where it's like I still just get like a little choked up, because to me, it's just the acting's great. You believe the characters, and again, seeing it as the mirror of the two worlds yelling at the creative, that kind of aspect. And I think that's why it kind of hits me harder, where it's like, do you do the thing that's going to make you a lot of money, or do you do the thing that you're going to feel the most passionate about? It's kind of that underlying tone. And I just enjoy that one a whole lot.
But like, go back to some of the jokes though.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the breakdown of Elias is fucking perfect.
Oh yeah,
just tearing this kid down bit by bit. Lord of the Rings, Pillow Pants,
Transformers,
Jesus. It is like this whole fucking thing,
and the King Diamond through
and they're saying
this is what I said earlier in the episode, that I was like, you quote this part all the time.
This is such a weird moment in the thing, because I was listening to King Diamond at the time, because I was into prog rock, and it's just like, this is so fucking weird. Why are they doing this to him? And it's just Jay crawling through the drive-through window.
What? Because it starts with he was starting on the whole Jesus thing, and Randall's just like,
the rise of the undead.
Yeah.
It's just like,
and so it's like he starts quoting it, and he's like, and then he starts singing it, and then Jay pops his head through the window, he starts singing it.
Let me help you out of your chair, Grandma. And it's just like,
Grandma.
And it's just like, they're getting into his face, they're breathing into the mic and shit.
Yeah.
And they're trying to I think they're trying to choke him with the cord.
Well, they're like moshing with him.
Yeah. And it's just like Silent Bob is doing the whole like hand motion in his face, and it's fucking scary. And it's like they are moshing with him, and he's like, Jay's trying to fucking hump him and shit, and he's like, oh my fucking god,
and he's just running away, and it's and he's doing Looney Tunes snags.
Yeah, because he's got the headset on and it's locked in, and he's like, snap. And I'm just like, this is so fucking brutal. Meanwhile, like some other stuff, some of the other things that happen are they're in the play area, and Dante's talking to his future wife, and they're bullshit. Randall comes to say some bullshit, and at some point, Jay and Silent Bob are just kind of vibing outside, and then Goodbye Horses starts playing on the fucking stereo.
Yeah.
And if anyone knows the song Goodbye Horses, it's played in Silence of the Lambs, where Buffalo Bill by Ted Levine is tucking his shit back and dancing in front of a fucking mirror, saying verbatim, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. And it's the most awkward fucking scene, because Jay does it and drops his pants and is fucking doing that shit with the fucking chapstick and doing the whole skit. And it's just like, that is way out of left field. Why the fuck are you doing this? It's so awkward. His pants are down. And it's like, I think is it Randall or Dante that comes out and is like, get the fuck out of here. Just like pushing the shit out of him. And it's like, get the fuck out of here, you piece of shit.
No, it's fantastic, and that's what I was saying. Like laugh a minute moments where it's like if you're not getting like good dialogue, you know, you're getting good little gag laugh. I mean, even just like the fast stuff where it's like when Pickle Fucker comes in and they're like, you know, grabbing the flies, you know, and filling it up with piss and the Coke and everything else, and eventually he's just like, you know, they're having that big exchange back and forth at the counter. Eventually, he takes his food and he's just like, you know what? I'm not really hungry. I'm gonna give it to these fellas right here. And Jay's like, free food, fuck yeah! Runs outside and it's like, and of course, perfect joke payoff. They're sitting out there. He takes a bite. He's frowning. He takes a sip of the drink. He's like, dude, this shit tastes like piss and flies, man. You know, it's just, even just like simplest joke like that. Just it's so well executed.
And the donkey show, which it's kind of another left field thing, and it's a guy fucking a horse.
Yeah,
and it's tragedy upon tragedy, because one of the moments we see is fucking Elias jerking
whacking it.
Yeah, to the fucking horse fucker.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck, dude?
Honestly, to me, that's the only low point of the film. Like, it just felt like it drug on a little too long. Like, it was funny, but we just lingered for a few minutes too long. We could have wrapped the scenes up a little faster,
because
and it would have been funny.
The female is actually the horse, and it was just like Randall being the biggest dumbass without doing any half-ass research on what the fuck he bought.
Thinks it's the woman going to be fucking a horse, but instead it's a guy fucking the female horse.
Like, I love Rosario Dawson's like, what the fuck? Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, in a restaurant?
Yeah, because they forgot to hit the alarm when they broke in.
Yeah, so I don't know. I love that a lot.
Yeah, it's an S tier still, even with, you know, my gripes about the jail scene. Like, it's still there.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is actually now drag what we mentioned there, because you had just gotten into the plot.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of trim up. So we're going to start now in the plot of Zach Miri Make a Porno. But yeah, so I knew that Jason was part of it, but he wasn't really playing himself. He was playing like a completely different character in the movie.
So the characters we see are Randall, the guy that plays Randall, and Jason Mewes. All right, those are from the View Askew universe. The rest come from actually the 40-Year-Old Virgin that had came out previous.
Right.
So we get Seth Rogen, we get Craig Robinson, we get I'm trying to remember the little Indian guy. I don't know if you've ever seen 40-Year-Old Virgin, but there's a little Indian guy who's a little profane.
Yeah. Actually, 40-Year-Old Virgin is one of the few Steve Carell movies I actually like.
Yeah, but Elizabeth Banks shows back up. She's a side character in the series. So we get a lot of comedic content. They get an actual porn star to show up in the movie. Two actually, to kind of level off the whole like vibe of them shooting a porno, which is kind of fucking hilarious, because
don't they do like a Star Wars inspired one?
So going into this, and Zach and Miri Make a Porno, it's two friends, Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks. They've lived together since they got out of high school. They were they were friends in high school, kind of outcasts, blah 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 blah. Cry me a fucking river. They go to their high school reunion. Now, this is where some characters show back up in Reboot.
Okay.
So this is actually where he's pulling more content for the View Askew universe, and it's perfect. So Justin Long shows up. Justin Long talks like this. And he's in fucking movies. And the guy, I forget his name, Brandon Ralph, the guy that played Superman. He's in it. And Miri is trying to hit on this guy. She's like, oh my God, I had a huge crush on you, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh, that's cool. And the whole time, Seth Rogen is talking to Justin Long, who's here with Brandon Routh. And, oh no, Zach, no, I make movies of a more all-male cast. And he's like, oh, like Glenn Ross? He's like, more like Glenn sucks Ross's giant cock. He's like, oh, you make porno movies, fucking movies. He's like, yeah, fucking movies. And it's Justin Long giving the creepiest fucking vibe. And it's fucking solid performance. And he's like, I'm sorry, I thought you were like a fan. And I thought, because you're more of our demographic. Men. And
Good God.
But somehow Seth Rogen gets it blown by another woman at the fucking high school reunion. It's fucking hilarious. And Miri makes Elizabeth Banks makes a fucking joke of herself hitting on a gay guy.
Yeah.
And it's fucking hilarious. They go back and the fucking power goes out because they didn't pay the power bill. They live in a fucking shitty apartment. Next thing, they go to work. Seth Rogen works at a coffee shop with Craig Robinson.
Okay.
Solid fucking joke in the beginning. Craig Robinson, big giant black guy, asked this little Indian man, he's like, hey, can I get off Friday? He's like, no, I can't have you leave. It's Black Friday. I can't have the biggest shopping day. I can't have you leave. Why Black Friday? What about Movie Monday? Like Mooley. Like the term. Yeah. And he's just like, what did you say? He's like, man, fuck you. This is some racist bullshit. And Seth Rogen pops in the back. Yeah, that's pretty fucking racist. He's like, I hate both you ebony ivory motherfuckers, I tell you. And it's just it's such a solid cast throughout the movie, but eventually it comes across because there's an email list of their high school friends and like everyone that graduated with that everyone's a part of now. And he talks about, we could just make a porno to make extra money. And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, everyone wants to see someone they know fuck. He's like, I don't know, I hate Roseanne Barr, but I want to see her in a fucking sex tape. Yeah. Because at that time, sex tapes were being popular. And it is a wild ass idea. Mm-hmm. And it starts like that. And Elizabeth Banks like, you just been doing this so you could fuck me? He's like, yeah, I played the long game for 10 years to fuck you. No, Miri, we need some fucking money. But they come up with the idea of making an actual porno movie. Mm-hmm. And Craig Robinson's character is like, hey, I can fund the movie because I'll have some extra cash later on because he got hit by a postal truck and he's going to be Oprah rich eventually. Right. That's the whole premise. He's going to be Oprah rich and he fucked this place. So they find this abandoned warehouse kind of thing. They church it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And to con Craig Robinson into doing this movie, they're like, you get to be producer. That means you get to interview everyone that's going to be in the movie. Yeah. And he's like, I get to see bitches naked? Yes. And it is a plethora of people that show up. They put an ad in the paper. Weirdos show up. Mm-hmm. One is an actual porn star that turned into an actress in real life, and she's in it. Mm-hmm. And this the rolling scene of them picking these guys to be in a porno is fucking hilarious. Because Jason Mewes is just like, I get to fuck on camera. Yes. Well, let's see it. He's like, well, what's your special skill? He's like, I can get hard within 30 seconds without touching it. And they're like, what? And he just drops his pants. And like they do this like Kevin Smith music. Yeah. This star with woo. And it's like, holy shit. And it's like a magic trick. But it's because eventually you do see Jason Mewes' dick later on. Yeah. So they go into the whole thing of, hey, we're going to do a Star Wars parody, and he's just like, Luke and Leia don't fuck in the Star Wars. Craig Robinson's like very, very on the point. Yeah. C-3PO is a guy being fucked with a strap on by no. The guy's R2-D2, and he pops out. He gets fucked by a woman, the porn star they hire, and it's just like they're playing a song called Boba Fett. It's a weird fucking song, but it's just like a really poppy song played in the background, and they're just doing their character design and all this. And Craig Robinson's just like, Luke and Leia don't fuck in the Star Wars. solid fucking intro. But what happens is, what fucks it up is the building they've been filming in gets demolished. The guy they paid money to rent from had skipped town and was going to demolish the thing. He did it as a skip bill to get some extra little cash out of them. So now they're at ground zero. All their stuff, all their camera equipment, all their costumes and stuff they worked hard on is in there. And they had this wild ass idea of filming in the coffee shop after hours, which is another callback to actual Clerks. Let's just film this in evening after we close. We'll just say we close every night. Blah 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 blah. Some things happen here and there. Some feelings get brought up. One of the women they hire, it's kind of fucking hilarious. It's an anal scene, and Randall is the cameraman, is the guy they hired to do all the camera work.
Yeah.
They buy him a new camera to get all this. And he's on his back looking up. And Jason Mewes is literally fucking a porn star. Mm-hmm. And she blows. Yeah. Basically. While Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks are having this weird fucking argument in the background. And where are you going? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, don't pull out. And he's like, what happened to you? I got fucking frosted like a goddamn cake. That's what happened. And it's like, it's such a funny thing because it's not Randall. Yeah. But seeing him, it's like, yeah, that's Randall. This fucking idiot. Because one thing you don't know is where it takes place. You assume it's Jersey because of how fucked up it looks, but you can also assume it's Philly. Right. So, some things get said. The porno gets shut down because the two that started it stopped disagreeing. He moves out and moves. And a hockey reference is great in there. You see actual guys wearing the Kevin Smith hockey jerseys walking by. Jason Mewes' character moved in with Miri, not as someone she's fucking, but someone who needed to pay the rent. And this is when Craig Robinson shows back up and is just like, hey man, I finished the movie after you left. What we had is what I finished. Yeah. I want you to come and see it. But I want you to see Miri first. Yeah. So he goes out to Miri's, the old apartment, and Jason just butt-ass naked answers the door. And he's like, hey, man, how's it going? I missed you. And he's like tapping him on the shoulder and shit. And it's just like this dude's like full dick is out the whole time. And... hey man, it's all cool, man. No, I'm not with Mary. You know, she just needed some. And no, we never actually filmed a scene together. Blah blah blah. And he's like, hey man, do you know what a Dutch rudder is? And Seth Rogen's like, what? He's like, oh no, it's not gay. My hand is on my dick. Your hand is on your dick. But my hand is on your shoulder, moving your arm. You're moving my arm. It's not gay. Our hands are on our own dicks. And it's like. Seth Rogen's face is like, get the fuck away from me, you weird motherfucker. And everything kind of just goes back together. Yeah. They put out the movie. Craig Robinson did get his money from the Postal Service because he was Oprah rich. And everything kind of works out at the end, just like any other weird-ass romance Kevin Smith does. But like seeing everybody in it is fucking... The nudity is gratuitous. The language is fucked. But it is fun because this Justin Long's character alone. Yeah. Fucking movies.
Where would you put that on your rank list?
Fucking A. Because I remember I rented it first and it was the director's cut. Yeah. And it was just full of everything. All the extra scenes weren't added, nothing cut. And it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and then the next movie, which came out in 2010, I feel like we can kind of quickly gloss over. Cop Out.
Oh, let's talk about this for the next 40 minutes. No. So Bruce Willis.
No.
So he does bring back Tracy Morgan for this. Yeah. From Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. But so this was just a buddy cop movie that kind of got out of hand. Kevin Smith did not do well with Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis also did not do well with Kevin Smith.
Tracy Morgan is kind of hard to work with anyway. So so this movie was a buddy cop movie that kind of was out of his element.
And then just everything, like you said, everything just kind of fell apart in the making of this movie and the editing of this movie.
If you had told me he was making this movie, I'd have been like, that doesn't seem right. That's like asking, Tim Burton to make a Transformers movie. It doesn't quite fit. Really? He's going to make gothy fucking robots? Yeah. Ugh, lame.
But I've never watched it.
I've watched it.
Where would you put it on the list?
It's a generic buddy cop movie. Yeah. That takes a turn. Yeah. That's it. It's no RoboCop.
It's no RoboCop. But then immediately after, a year later, he goes right back to the indie realm because basically those two, he had a positive experience with Make a Porno, and then Cop Out happened, and he went, nope. Fuck this. Back to the indie world.
So, funny fact, Zach and Miri Make a Porno was so hard to sell.
It still bombed.
It bombed, but it's because they did the full title. Yeah. It's advertised as Zach and Miri. Yeah. But when you get the movie, it's Zach and Miri Make a Porno. And it's just like, what the fuck did I just watch? Or what? Yeah. A lot of people actually walked out of the theater in some stations because because when the movie comes out in theater, it's the full title. On the poster, it's just Zach and Miri. So a lot of people were just like, "Oh, this might be like a family kind of feel," Nope, we need to get our fucking kids out of here because a girl's getting raw dogged on a fucking coffee table. Like that's literally what happens.
Yeah. So he had a positive experience at least filming with Zach and Miri, even though it kind of bombed. But he's used to having bombs anyway. But no, with Cop Out. That was kind of his final straw, and then he goes back and he doesn't go back to the View Askew-verse, but he makes Red State.
Did you watch this?
I have watched this.
This is fucking hilarious.
It's nuts.
So in the beginning, they sacrifice a kid to Jesus.
In the beginning,
they just literally killed the angsty fucking teenagers in the beginning, and it's all because of a fucking later on. John Goodman's in this movie, and it's one of his better movies.
Great performance.
Oh, great! It's right up there with Oh Brother Art Thou, because he's such a big character in it. So he's a cop of some sorts. Anyway, so there's a defunct air raid horn that goes off that kids are fucking with, and this cult believes it's one of the trumpets in Revelations that are blowing, that the end times are coming, that they've been preparing for.
Yep.
Because they have guns and shit. It's a good allegory for David Koresh and his bunch, and Jim Jones.
Yep.
So some officers roll up, they get taken out. Now every fucking cop from here to the Capitol is like, all right, we need to take this fucking cult down. And it's all because of an accident.
Yep.
And that's all it is. That's all the bare bones of this movie. I'm still waiting for him to make Blue State.
But no, another movie that just caused a bunch of outrage.
Yeah.
Well, especially with
the evangelical community did not like this.
No, not in the
Seventh-day Adventists weren't keen on this either.
No.
But no, it is a wild fucking ride of a movie.
I definitely recommend it. It's
I think
really
I've only
good.
seen it twice, but it's still like it's a very visceral movie, especially when the preacher woman comes out and you think she's dead.
Yeah.
And not to smart it anyway, it's like, no, they capped this bitch quick because you got to.
And by this point, for the past couple years, while all this has been going on, I think it started during the Zach and Miri era. But it really started picking up legs around the Cop Out and Red State era. Kevin Smith's really started picking up with his podcasting. He had Smodcast, and then eventually that turned into the Smodcast Network. That includes Telling Steve Dave, all the other shows. When he started making Comic Book Men, he made a secondary show for that.
Did you watch a lot of that?
Comic Book Men?
Yeah.
Religiously, dude.
I only caught a handful of episodes because it was around the time Walking Dead was going to shit.
Yeah.
And it was the next show that was on. I remember there were some funny episodes. I think it was the funniest one was they had this, were they moving the shop? I think no. They had some old stuff in like the attic of the shop.
In the basement. Yep.
Yeah, and there was like a thing like a rocket or a car. It was a big thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're trying to get this fucking thing into the store. I'm just like, no. You should burn that. That is probably covered in asbestos. It's probably made of asbestos.
So around this time, the podcast stuff is really picking up, and on his main show, Smodcast, that was co-hosted with Scott Mosier. Now, Scott Mosier has been his executive producer this entire time, and Mosier has tiny little parts and all of it. Like Mosier, in one of the more recent ones in Clerks 2, was the dad that was sitting at the table with the kid when when Dante was taking a shit while Randall and Elias were arguing in the kitchen, and Dante opened the door. He's like, "Randall, leave Elias alone," and it cuts to that guy at the table, and he like hides the kid's eyes. He's like, "Don't look at his wee wee, honey." Yeah, that's Scott Mosier. So he has a show with Kevin Smith, and they went through this whole thing where they were reading up weird Craigslist postings, and someone was talking about a free place to rent. The only thing you had to do was dress up like a walrus, and that captivated their They spent almost an entire episode laughing and just making a mockery of and creating all these narratives, and Kevin's all high as fuck, so he's like half of the episode is him just doing
Had he had the heart attack by then?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
So still Fat Kevin.
Yes, still Fat Kev Smith. And he is just like laughing his ass off. And at the very end of it, he goes, guys, this has been fucking hilarious. But you know what? I feel like we could actually do something with this. Maybe not a comedy, but like, you know, we start talking some horror shit in here. You know, I've never done a horror. Look, I'm only going to make this if people are fucking interested. Like, if this is just a high Kevin Smith moment, we're laughing at it in the moment, it's going to stay here. He goes, but get on Twitter. Hashtag Walrus yes if you want me to make this movie. Hashtag Walrus no if you are against me making this movie. I will tally up the votes and we'll figure it out by the next time we get on Smodcast. A week later, he gets back on and he's like, well, there was only one vote for Walrus no, and the comment said, I saw there were no votes for Walrus no, so I had to vote it just for so we had a diplomatic vote. So at that point, we get Tusk.
Have you seen Tusk?
But I started Tusk and I fell asleep.
Okay, so
we don't have to have a play-by-play though. We're running long on this episode.
Yeah, so Tusk is another body horror movie that came out around the same time Horns came out.
Yeah,
with Daniel Radcliffe and Human Centipede 2. So like the
body horror was in.
Yeah, but it is a fucking dumbass of a movie. You do kind of get the introduction of Kevin Smith's daughter, which turns into the next movie, Yoga Hosers, which is kind of fucking. Like,
I have seen that one.
Campy and stupid, but it's fun because it's like little people. But Johnny Depp's in this movie,
yeah,
which it kind of takes you out of it for a second because not only is he in it, he dies. I think.
No, he's still alive.
Oh yeah, because there's the plans of doing another one. But no, it's just this creepy fucking like hostile type dude who's like cons Justin Long.
A podcaster.
Oh, and Haley Joel Osment is his co-host, and he's such a dick to his girlfriend that Haley Joel Osment is fucking her too. And it's fucking hilarious. And I'm just like, Justin Long is legitimately a terrible character in this. He's a terrible person.
Yeah,
and he deserves everything that happens to him, as into being turned into a giant walrus that this guy might want to fuck or eat. Not really sure what's going on. But no, they end up finding him. He's still there, and he ends up in like a zoo. Mm-hmm. And that's basically it.
It's a fucked up movie.
He lived,
but he got sewn into a goddamn walrus.
Yeah, he's a giant walrus. Yeah, so that's the end of that.
And the thing is when this
it has a big cult following
now.
No, when it came out, it was stupid as fuck,
dude. When it came out, there was no one saying anything positive about this movie, which just kind of leads back to what I was saying earlier about when after Zach Miri Make a Porno, it started pot smoking Kevin Smith. And this is one of those examples of they're like, he fucked it up. It was an interesting concept, but he's lacking as a filmmaker now.
Yeah, I don't think it's a lack as a filmmaker. It was just an idea he shot and missed.
Yeah,
but you know, right now it's like you said, it's a cult following.
Yeah, it's found its audience, just like Mallrats did. Mallrats was not well received when it first came out, but now it's found its audience, and much like that, I mean, maybe that's just the hook of Kevin Smith. Maybe he's always just a little too early.
Yeah, not too early, but just like. Not appreciated at the time.
Yeah. I can see that.
So like some of his movies age well, some of them don't. Going back to like Chasing Amy.
Yeah.
Like so, yeah, that doesn't have a cult following because it doesn't age well.
Yeah.
But Clerks 2 is going to age well because everyone's going to be working in that kind of situation. Tusk ages well because it's just a body horror movie.
Yeah. And everyone's looking for a new horror movie.
Yeah.
And then like you said, right after that comes Yoga Hosers. Now. By this point, and I know I was during Tusk, but definitely by Yoga Hosers, I was hardcore listening to every single Kevin Smith podcast that was coming out. So I was on the hype train for this movie. I thought it was going to be funny as hell. It was going to be Johnny Depp's daughter and Kevin Smith's daughter reprising Clerks type characters. It was going to be maybe geared more toward, a teenage girl audience, but you know what? This is coming from two people that had an entire episode about Pixar versus DreamWorks, okay? I'm not opposed to watching a Kevin Smith film that's aimed toward teenage girls. I'm curious. And Ralph Garman part of Hollywood Babylon, one of the other shows on the Smodcast network. Fucking hilarious guy. He was going to be in it. And I'm like, yes, I finally get to see Ralph Garman in a movie. This is going to be great. And like, they're explaining some of the plot points about how there was like, Nazi bratwursts and all this other stuff, and that Ralph was really going to be leaning into his different accents and voices. Oh, this is going to be goofy and funny. I don't know what happened between like the concept being kind of funny and then like the execution just being so poor. But this movie is probably like, oh, real quick, where would you put Tusk on your ranking list?
S tier. No, I'm just fucking with you. Like, it's right up there with like Jersey Girl. it's an objectively dumb movie.
Man, I have to put Yoga Hosers in my F. This is the bottom rank.
No.
Like this, there was nothing about this movie I enjoyed. I went into it excited, wanting to love it, looking for any reason to like it. Even the cameos from Kevin Smith as the Nazi bratwurst things got old after like 30 seconds. They were all this, and then oh my god, him doing that on the podcast for a year after the fact, it's just like, oh my god, fucking stop this. It's
it's not his best work.
No, I was definitely not digging on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after that one though, thankfully, we kind of get a little bit of downtime. He kind of focuses on his podcasting a bit more.
No, Comic Book Men had ended.
No, Comic Book Men was still running by this point. And he was just really focusing on Comic Book Men, podcasting, and just doing his Kevin Smith thing. And out of the blue, you hear that he's going to be doing some stand-up shows. And you're like, oh shit. All right, cool. I mean, he's always touring, but he's doing like specifically like stand-up. This is going to be interesting. He had 2 shows back to back on the same night, like a early show and a late show, and both sold out immediately. And then you later find out that they're going to be filmed for a special, and it's like, fuck yeah, because between these movies, he's been doing like spoken word specials. He's not done one in a long time, so it's like awesome. He's about to do a new one. Well, that exact night, you get message through Twitter that Kevin Smith's had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And for the first time, like this was like when every fucking celebrity was dropping in like 2017, 2018.
Yeah. Alan Rickman, I think, had died around that time. Lemmy from Motorhead, David Bowie. Yeah, I remember, 2016, the tail end of 2016 was fucking rough.
Yeah, so this was like 2017, 2018, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, because I had a running bet that Hillary Clinton would die, and it never happened.
So I remember just hearing that he had one and just all of a sudden going like, oh fuck, we're about to lose him too. This is it. It's just like I felt it immediately, but then it's like the following day, the update of, I'm good, this, that, and the other, and it's like so much relief. And eventually that first show did get filmed. So what happened was he gets up, films his first set, goes to the back, and was just like, I can't really catch my breath. He's like, I feel okay. I don't feel like hot. I can't. It just feels like I can't catch my breath. I can breathe, but I just can't catch my breath. I want to lay down some. And someone in the room just decided to call 911, and they're like, you need to go to the hospital. They pull him in, and he's like, what's going on? I just feel a little lightheaded. They're like, are you in pain? He goes, no, I'm not in any sort of pain. Anything else? He goes, that's interesting. Well, usually people are in pain when they're having a heart attack. He's like, I had a heart attack? He's like, no, you're having a heart attack. Like right now, Kevin. He's like, oh, okay. And they're like, yeah, we need to get you into surgery right now. And they whisk him away, immediately get it taken care of, and like bing, bang, boom. Now, the reason I know that story so well is ever since 2018, Kevin will tell that story every time he's on stage. Now, I love the man to death. He's a really cool dude.
It just gets played out.
After telling the story a couple times, my man, you gotta hang it up. And I feel like that's part of the reason why I'm even kind of like, on Clerks 3, because that's what fucking happens in the movie word for word. Like, he
Now-
took like word for word dialogue that he was talking about in his stand-ups or his podcast and stuff after the fact, and made it exact dialogue in the movie.
Now, he went, what, vegan or vegetarian?
Vegan.
Yeah, so that's a hard turn.
But you know what? It's worked for him.
Oh, yeah, it's going to work for him because he probably ate nothing but fucking bacon.
Jelly beans. He said jelly beans was the biggest thing for him.
That's what got Reagan.
Yep.
Thanks to Jimmy Carter.
So after that, he kind of had a new lease on life and was just like, all right, I'm not. Because, again, what was I saying? After Tusk, he was just, Yoga Hosers, he just kind of sunk back a little bit and was like, all right, I'm going to chill with the movies then, y'all. I'm gonna focus on the podcasting. I'm going to focus on doing my tours. I'm going to focus on the other little things. I'm not going to worry about movies right now.
I think I remember him see it, like, the next time I actually saw him, because I think it was you that told me he had the heart attack or whatever.
Yeah.
I think he was on Hot Ones.
Mm-hmm. No, not ones.
Not ones. Yeah, and he was talking about like verbatim everything, and when he said like he turned to veganism and all this stuff, I was just like, that's gonna have a fucking problem for you later on too.
Yeah.
Like that's, amino acids are very important in the diet. Something has to die for you to live.
So now having a new lease on life and realizing time is short, he's like, fuck this. I want to get back into making movies again. Now
Blue State.
He started making a bunch of promises. Mallrats 2.
Yeah, see
Clerks 3.
Yeah.
A new Jay and Silent Bob movie. Like, he was making promises on the get-go. The first one out the gate was going to be Mallrats 2. That was the first movie that was going to come out. Well, we're recording this and releasing it rather in 2023, and we do not have Mallrats 2.
I don't think there needs to be a Mallrats 2 unless they're destroying a mall for like 30 seconds.
And you know what? That was going to be part of the movie. He said the climax of the movie was the mall was going to explode because they were finding an abandoned mall that was going to be demolished, so they could have free reign to do whatever.
And like there's so much more you could do.
Yeah.
Do an original idea. I know, because I think what's the next movie? Reboot.
Yeah, Reboot was next, and Reboot kind of happened by default because he was really fishing for Mallrats 2. That never got off the ground. Then he was pushing for Clerks 3. That never got off the ground because of the rights. And then he was like, all right, fine. No one can tell me what to do with Jay and Silent Bob. I own that outright. I'm just going to make a new Jay and Silent Bob movie. So Reboot kind of happened by default because it was the only thing he had left to play with.
Yeah, and Reboot was kind of half in the bag.
Yeah.
I think so.
So Reboot was an interesting plot because this is maybe the first time someone can kind of point to Kevin Smith and go, he uses lies to promote things. Because the initial selling point of the movie was, well, I have grown as a filmmaker since my time in the View Askew-averse, so I'm going to make a new movie called Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, where Hollywood is going to reboot the Jay and Silent Bob or the Blunt Man and Chronic movie, so they have to go back to Hollywood to stop the reboot from happening. So he was pushing this movie as just like a parody of reboots. But it turned into more than that. Now, maybe in a positive way, which is maybe why I didn't get a backlash. But he was pushing that movie like it was just going to be a retelling and a parody of the reboots that were all happening. But the hook of it is you find out Jay's got a daughter.
Yeah, Justice.
Justice is out of jail. Never called him for the fucking reason that she thought he was mad at her.
Yeah, so he didn't grow as a filmmaker. He was still doing the same shit.
Yeah.
With terrible fucking plot holes. Like it doesn't take away from it as a whole.
No.
But it's just a terrible plot hole that he left in a movie where the guy who loved you traveled to Hollywood and you almost got shot.
Yeah.
And he kept you from getting shot. And then he took you to Morris Day in the Time.
I know, right? And it was still just like, oh, well, I thought you were mad at me because you quit messaging me.
No.
And it's just like, what?
And you became a lesbian.
Yeah. And we'll see. And I find that the funny bit because Rosario Dawson is now back. But she's not playing the same character she was in Clerks 2.
Oh, shit. Is this thumb prick, little dick or some shit like that?
Come quick thumb dick.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was probably the hardest laugh I had in the whole movie, though.
I laugh because you see his dick in another movie. And
It's a fake dick.
I don't know, but still, it's fucking hilarious.
He's been very adamant on telling people it's a fake dick. It's a fake dick.
But like, we get Jay back, and I will say, Silent Bob does look weird.
He's skinny now,
which is fine. Good for him. And like, it's like skinny Jonah Hill.
Yeah, it's like you've got a more sober Jason Mewes because you had a sober Mewes on Clerks 2, but you've got a more sober Mewes during this movie, and now a skinny vegan Silent Bob.
Yeah, he's weed.
And now I will say in this movie, and I love Kevin to death, but he had lost a lot of weight really fast.
Yeah.
Now
he looks rough.
Yeah. That's what happens though when you lose weight fast. The skin doesn't have enough time to retract. Yeah. So for instance, if someone were to get, plastic surgery, liposuction, but couldn't afford the nip and tuck afterward, it would take it a long time for that skin to retract, if not ever. But if you slowly lost that weight over time, your skin would naturally retract with your body because it would slowly burn off with it if it was burning at a natural pace. His started just sloughing off. So his face looks really sunken in.
It looked like he has cancer.
It looked really bad.
Yeah, he looked like he had cancer. And Jason Mewes, because he had done Zach Miri and all that, and hadn't much done from that, he looks a little rough too. He's really tatted up a lot. Kind of looks kind of weird. And it's just like, this is why this guy wears like 3 layers of clothing. Not because they're selling weed in Jersey.
But the whole switch of the movie, he's got a daughter now, but played by Kevin Smith's daughter. And now the ultimate joke on that is during this time of him doing podcasting and being really social media present, of course, he's showing off photos of the family and the house and everything else. Every time he posted a photo of him and Harley, people were like, yo, dude, you sure Mewes didn't fuck your wife? That looks a lot like Jason Mewes, man. All that kind of stuff. Especially when she was younger. She's looking a lot more like Kevin now. Like she's getting a lot more like his features. But when she was younger, she had like the skinny nose and the sharp chin. Like she looked a lot like Mewes. So
we see her in like was it Clerks 2?
As a child. Yeah, she's the little kid that waves through the window when they're having their Smashing Pumpkins music moment. But but no, I think there's a couple low points in this one. A few of the long-term jokes that just don't land. Like it was cool seeing Fred Armisen in the movie, but his jokes just weren't that funny. Like his role wasn't that great. Merkin.
Yeah, so like you don't. He tried to add, I think, too much to the View Askew universe. The pulls he made were perfect. Yeah. Ben Affleck talking about having a kid, talking about...
And I thought that was great. That was an awesome Chasing Amy payoff.
And like it's a perfect. We see people from Tell 'em Steve Dave on the panel.
Comic Book Men panel.
Yeah, we see a lot of these guys, but too many characters have been added to it too fast. Yeah. Like when they go to court, we see Justin Long's character from Zach and Miri, and he's like, I'm your fucking lawyer now. And it's like, that's fucking awesome. Yeah. I love that more than anything because now, hey guys, I pulled some people that, I had in my movies. Yeah. Yeah. What would have made it better was just John Goodman showing up. Probably would have been fucking hilarious. And Diedrich Bader shows back up.
Yeah, and there's some great moments because like you get the girl gang version of of the kind of the guy gang, and you've got the whole Jay and Silent Bob having to be the adult characters to a point to like the rowdy teenagers. So it's a little bit of like the tables turn,
and like the teenagers kind of riling them in a little bit. Like, no, you can't say shit like that anymore. Yeah, and you could argue that that's a kind of callback to the whole scene from Clerks 2. Yeah. With Wanda Sykes and them. It's just like, no, you can't fucking say that. But like even them as characters, you could have made just another movie. Yeah. Or maybe a television thing or something. that could have been like, oh no, this is his family. Let's just talk about this. Don't do Reboot. Don't do, like, I understand why you did it.
Yeah.
But you didn't do it. You know,
and we saw Brody again, who set off the whole thing, and he reprised his role great. I thought that was awesome.
But the weed guys that were there.
Yeah, because you find out, because they're like, yo, her name's Millie Falcon. Don't tell her that you're her dad, though. Like, I don't want her to know. She doesn't know that you're her dad. This and the other. You can meet her, but don't say anything to her. But then you find out that she, quote unquote, loves Blunt Man and Chronic, and so do all her friends, and they want to go to the Chronicon, so they can see the movie, this, that, and the other. And they're like, oh yeah, we so happen to be going there too. And they're like, well, you're gonna fucking take us. So that the hijinks ensue with all that, and exactly what you're saying. They could have easily played into that.
The pacing is wrong. The justification of him not knowing his daughter is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's weird as shit. Rosario Dawson could have played her same character, just like pregnant. They could have just stopped in at movies like they would.
Yeah.
And be like, oh shit, is this the one? Hey, is Dante around? No, asshole. Get the fuck out of here. You know what? I fucking quit. And that would have been like the sliding moment of her just going, but you know what? Fuck this. My husband's running a store. I'm going to work at his store. It would have been like a cool little callback. We could have saw Elias again, because Elias kind of bulked up a little bit.
Yeah.
He got kind of fat. But they are deplorable. I will say that. The girls are awful.
Yeah.
But they are fucking hilarious.
But even got a Chris Hemsworth cameo.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was pretty cool. It's like, don't hump the hologram. Don't take photos with the hologram. Yeah. Do not molest the hologram.
And
it's really weird.
Yeah, stop molesting the hologram. And I remember this is one of the movies I rented.
Yeah.
It was the last ones I rented from Family Video, and it was only one copy. It was one of those movies, like, when the new movies come out, you got like 18 fucking copies.
Yeah.
One. It had a weird, cool little cover on it. It looked nice. I wouldn't have bought it.
I've got a signed copy.
Well, like, that's the thing, is it's a signed copy of an artist you really like, but I'm just like,
and and I enjoyed it.
I would buy a box set of Clerks 1 through 3.
Yeah. And I enjoyed it. And I feel like this movie was, Kevin had one scene in his head, and then he wanted to make a movie around it. Because to me, the best part of the movie, there's two scenes that honestly still kind of hit me in the emotions, mainly because they play it so well, because they know each other, so there's a natural chemistry. Is the scene when they finally get to Chronicon, and Jay meets her outside with a coffee, and he's like, "A coffee for you, ma'am?" And she's like, "Oh, thank you." And he's just like, "Yeah, this and the other." He's just, and she's like, and they had some sort of moment of like, it's always the little things that matter, Yeah. I wish it had been my dad that, had been able to do these kind of little things for me, like make me coffee, or, do, spend time together, these little things. And you see Jay, like, Jay the person kind of getting choked up on him because he cares about Harley the person too. So like you see that natural chemistry thing, and he's just like, all right, well, I guess we need to get to Chronicon now. And then at the very end of the movie, after everything's revealed, this, that, and the other, he sits her outside and he goes, "Look, I don't know how to be a dad. So like, I don't," and she's like, "Just stop. I don't want to hear it. I know what you're going to say. Just don't. Okay? I get it. It's cool." He's like, "No, let me finish." And then Silent Bob walks up with the coffee. He's like, "I don't know how to be a dad, so I'm going to have to learn with you." And like gives her the cup of coffee. He's like, "So we need to do like the things. Like, I guess I need to tell you about some stuff, right?" Okay, well, like, me and Silent Bob, we've been like hanging out here forever, okay? And then like starts giving her the rundown. Dude, that moment still hits with me of just like, that's so sweet, because it's almost the thing of like, hey, my fans are old enough to have kids now. they're eventually going to tell their kids, hey, there's these guys I've been watching since I was your age.
Yeah.
It's time for me to show you these guys. So it's almost kind of like the passing of the torch of like, hey, show my shit to other people kind of thing. And I don't know, it was just really sweet.
I think what would have been funny is Jay finds justice again, and it turns out she's been on the run. And she meets, like, hey, by the way, this is your daughter. You need to talk to her. You know, I've told her about you, but I haven't told her the whole story. Mm-hmm. And why not open the movie with that scene?
Yeah,
and
I
then,
get it.
And then just keep on the reboot bullshit that he was trying to peddle. It's just him and Silent Bob telling the story of them making it to Hollywood. Mm-hmm. But some of the scenes are the same.
Yeah.
But some of them are over exaggerated. Like they kicked James Vanderbeek's ass. and like the orangutan is not an orangutan. It's probably just like an actual monkey.
Yeah.
Like a little capuchin monkey or something. Like that would have been funnier to me of them trying to explain what happened in Strikes Back, but all the flashback scenes are just the same scenes we know, but over exaggerated, hyperbole out of, just like, and then
unreliable narrator.
And then Silent Bob had to suck the security guard's dick.
Yeah.
And he's just like doing this motion. Like, no, he loves the cut. And it's just like the Carrie Fisher's character wouldn't have been played by Carrie Fisher. Probably wouldn't have been funny if it was played by the girl that plays Ray.
Yeah,
that would have just been a kick in the fucking teeth. But like a version of Reboot that probably should have been would have just been like a reboot. Let me tell you the story, a revised history version of this, but you'd still keep that emotional effect going into it.
Yeah.
And her just listening to this, like, this sounds like bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
But it still feels like Kevin had that scene in his head of like the flyaway scene of like Jay with the daughter hanging out in front of the quick stop telling her history, and he's just like, oh, how do I get us here? Because I felt like that was the most like sincere, like best part of the movie, because it was just like, it was really sweet, it was really nice.
Or them going to like a movies and Elias is still there.
Oh God.
And he sees him like he's the manager probably.
Yeah.
And he sees him and is like, oh, no. And it's just like, just doing activities with his daughter, not just going to Chronicon or some shit, but them seeing the world with her would have made more sense as a movie. Not just a hop, skip, and a jump to fucking Hollywood.
Yeah.
Just to ruin it.
So, but again, the gripes that we have here kind of stem from people saying that it's weed Kevin Smith. He's not making good movies.
No. I don't believe that at all.
Okay.
Because you can argue that because Quentin Tarantino stopped doing coke, like his movies went to shit. No, his movies are still fantastic. There are some people who need it, mainly musicians, but you're still going to get a romance, like a love story, whether it be between a man and a woman, a man and a lesbian, a man and two women, a guy and his kid.
Yeah.
It still plays the same. Like, I bet if you were to watch a Jersey Girl, you would see so many similarities between that relationship and Jay and Harley. Like, you would see like every person who writes stories has a benchmark they're trying to set. Yeah. And they unconsciously do it. Stephen King does the same fucking thing all the time. It's intro, backpedaling, horror, end. That's his circle, his Harmon circle. And Kevin Smith has one. Let's introduce some characters. Go Clerks 3. Kate Micucci's in it for no fucking reason other than to dress like a movie and do the fucking robot.
Yep.
But she's in it.
Yep.
And it makes no goddamn sense. But guess what? In the next movie he does, it's going to make a lot of fucking sense.
And that's a good place to kind of end this retrospective of the Kevin Smith films before we do a deep dive into Clerks 3. And I feel like we'll have a lot to talk about on that one because
you're not a fan, actually. That's what we're talking about first.
The hate comments, the hate videos for this movie. Woo! Yeah. There's a lot. Yeah. Some may be justified. Some people just love to find a reason to complain.
He's still going to make movies.
Oh yeah,
he's still going to make movies. He's still going to probably put his fucking kid in it.
And where would you put Reboot in your ranking?
Probably like an A.
A. Yeah.
A, because of all the callbacks they do with like Ben Affleck and them. Mm-hmm.
And even the smart edits, so like, well, they're at Chronicon, like all the Kevin Smith films are actual canon because Kevin Smith is the one directing the new Chronicon movie. I mean, the new Blunt Man and Chronic movie. So they make a bunch of Kevin Smith, that director, ew.
Yeah, like Kevin
jokes.
Smith, you know, not just making fun of himself, but him generally being an asshole.
Yes, like
in
he
the
was
movie.
playing an asshole version of himself, so that was also funny. He's like, "Fuck these kids! I just got their money."
Yeah.
But even the smart editing of, since there's panels for each of the movies, when they went to the Clerks panel, it was black and white again.
Yeah.
So it was like even just like funny, quick jokes like that. Those were all great, fantastic. Just overall, in retrospect, honestly, I'd put it as a B.
Randall wasn't in this one, was he?
No.
Yeah.
No, he was not. But no, so honestly, I would put this one at a B.
Yeah.
It was an A starting out, but with more time, it's more of a B now. It was a good effort though. It was nice going back to it. Just the story itself had so many plot holes, and just even the way it wrapped up, aside from outside of the quick stop, was just very messy. But yeah, we'll be back to discuss Clerks 3 in a couple weeks. We'll spare you guys some. We'll space these out a little bit. But either way, for this episode of the Couch Potatoes, I've been Alex and Chris. Do you have any sort of final thoughts for us?
I would be so amped if you did a Blue State movie. And it's
want this Blue State movie.
And it's just about a bilingual abortion clinic in the middle of fucking Oregon. And it's just like, there's no other parts to it. It's just that. And there's just like evangelicals throwing bricks at them. And it's actually a callback and filters into Dogma 2, The Return of Alanis Morissette.